I changed the point guard position.
You can say that.
I mean, I did.
I think you said it a lot.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, because when I came in, I was a hybrid. Back then, they didn't like hybrid. So I wasn't a 1, wasn't big enough to be a 2. So I had to figure out how to survive with not knowing how to run the team. Because you got to remember, when I came in, John Stockton's still in, Gary Payton's still in, Steve Nash didn't turn to Steve Nash yet like that.
Welcome to No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. I'm Mike Botticello. He's Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas.
What's going on?
Love saying my name, Gilbert Arenas.
Present yourself.
Okay.
So Gil, we got to take a moment because there is a moment right now in basketball and we have to recognize what era we are living in currently, and it's the golden era of the point guard. Right now is the best group of point guards the game has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, we've examined that definition a lot. And if you look at how athletic they are, how skilled they are, how prepared they are, it makes a lot of sense to say that it's evolved to the best era of point guards ever.
I mean, of course, this is going to be the best era at this moment in time because it's evolution.
Evolution, but if you look at numbers too, where these guys are, I mean, Chris Paul just is up the ladder on assists, passing what you would say is magic, and he's, next up is Mark Jackson. Yeah, Mark Jackson, Steve Nash, John Stockton. I don't feel reached Stockton, but and then the fact that the all-time numbers are getting checked off by guys that are still active and still have gas left in the tank, they'll blow them out of the water.
Yeah, you can't judge records being broke and say it's because they're better. That's not necessarily true.
I think they're also set up to succeed.
Yeah, so then you can't say they're better if they have a handicap to succeeding. So if back in the day, an assist was straight pass to score, now it's pass, create a shot, you would give the point guard from the 80s and 90s more respect than you would the ones now on assists. Because if you average 13 assists, it was 13 made assists that you got. Here, you can pass me the ball at half court. I can dribble, shake, step back, and you actually get an assist for it. So if you have 13 and I'm averaging 8, my 8 is still suspect versus, assists where it was, and you have to score.
I get that, but I think the reason why we are here is because the emphasis is on the position. Because you think about the 80s, how it was 70s, 80s. What'd you do? Get the ball to the big man. Mm-hmm. That was a point guard's job, right? Then the scorer became dominant, 2 guards, and guys like Michael Jordan or Kobe, or they evolved to where that was the focus of an offense. And now it's all in the point guard's hand. The offense runs through them. They can score for themselves. They can distribute. It's just that's.
But that doesn't make them better. Like it's not.
They're set up to succeed, is what we're saying.
The role has changed. The role has been redefined at this moment in time. So before they were set the team up, manage the clock, get it to the big man, get players open that can't get themselves open. That is not the emphasis now. So you can't say this is the golden era when the rules, the mindset has changed, the position has changed. So now the guards don't actually have to get anybody involved. They can just be dominant scorers. That doesn't mean they're better or they evolved. It's just the responsibility has changed.
If you look at football, who gets paid the most?
Quarterback.
Makes sense, right? Offense runs through them. They set everything up. They can take and run with it for themselves. They can score for them, take a real goal line for themselves. But if the quarterback doesn't play well, team's not going anywhere, especially on offense. It's about scoring.
But if you rewind time, the running back was the highest
Used to
paid
be.
player.
Right.
So again, the rules has changed. Because if you have a great running back, you don't really
You can shut him down.
You don't really need a quarterback. If your quarterback can't pass, everybody else
hold
sucks. Because at the end of the day, how great is a quarterback if the receivers can't catch the ball?
If they're pros, they should be able to catch it.
If
Right?
they can't catch the ball,
they're not Jerry Rice or T.O. or Randy Moss. But it's perfect to compare those two things because the running back, similar to the big man, right? You could put 11 guys, stack the box, and shut down a running back.
Actually, that's false.
Hold up, let me finish.
Okay.
And same with the big, you could foul them out. Okay. They can't shoot free throws. That was proven. That's how it evolved. That's how we got there.
Well, with a point guard, today's point guard, I don't need my team to be good. I can do this shit myself. Running back, give me the ball, Barry Sanders. I don't have a offensive line. I'm just gonna take my way through this shit.
But there were times in his career, he's one of the greatest, but there are times he got shut down, especially in the postseason.
But
didn't have the horses that way.
But look how much he done without anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with a point guard. I can just dominate. Yeah, I can't go far, but I can do it. A center can't do it if they can't get the ball up the court.
A guy like David Robinson could dominate a game for a while, but again, before they had the Tim Duncan and Pop era, they never really got very far. But the football-basketball comparison with point guards and quarterbacks is perfect right now because if you look what you do in the NFL, let the quarterback create. Give them free reign. Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. Go in the NBA. Run the offense through your point guard. They can facilitate. They can score. They can get other guys involved. Your team, your offense will perform better.
Mm-hmm. Allegedly.
Actually.
I changed the point guard position.
You can say that.
I mean, I did.
I think you said it a lot.
I did.
Yeah. But let's look around the league, what these guys are doing. It's unique, and the greatness we're saying is at the point guard position. And you tell me.
The greatness is in the point guard position right now.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Steph Curry, Dame Lillard, Russell Westbrook, Kyrie, and Young, John Morant, Trae Young, Luka, De'Aaron Fox.
You haven't named one person that has over 10,000 assists.
Chris Paul.
You didn't say Chris Paul.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But I'm glad you say that. So if you look at the all-time assist board right now, in the top 15 active players, Rondo, Westbrook is now in there.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul, obviously up there in the top 5, and not to mention LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it was with LeBron. He shifted that.
Shifted what?
Because your comparison was him as Magic, and he could be that version of a player.
He shifted what?
The emphasis on the point guard. It wasn't run LeBron up the floor and feed him in the post.
Mm-hmm.
Have LeBron bring the ball up the floor. Run the offense.
I'm gonna be cocky here. I changed the point guard position.
You can say that.
I mean, I did.
I think you said it a lot.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, because when I came in, I was a hybrid. Back then, they didn't like hybrid. So I wasn't a 1, wasn't big enough to be a 2. So I had to figure out how to survive with not knowing how to run the team. Because you got to remember, when I came in, John Stockton's still in, Gary Payton's still in, Steve Nash didn't turn to Steve Nash yet like that. You still got Jason Kidd. You got
AI.
AI was a shooting guard. So they have him in the top something in point guard. He was labeled a shooting guard because they had Eric Snow as the point guard. So the point guard still actually ran the offense. You had Andre Millers. You had Travis Best was still here. Terrell Brandon was still here. It was actual point guards.
Prototypical.
Yes.
So the reason I brought up AI, and to lead that to you, giving your praise, the label of a ball hog fell into that. If you were the point guard that brought it up the floor and all these guys are saying they're open and you're going to shoot your shot, He's a ball hog.
Mm-hmm.
Make your shots. If you
But he wasn't labeled a ball hog because they shifted him to the shooting guard.
He was a volume shooter, but for his size, they didn't know what to do with him until they said, all right, you know what? He's an undersized 2, but he is a scorer.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it did. So he didn't change the point guard position to allow the point guard to be just as dominant as the shooting guard.
Just to clarify that, the handoff where you came in was at that time, too. He was doing his thing in Philly in the prime of his career. You're
as a shooting guard.
As a shooting guard.
Mm-hmm.
You came in as a point guard that was saying, like, look, I can score. I can bring the ball up.
I can bring the ball up. I can run a team. We can win
pass when
games.
I want to.
We can win. You can win games with this guy because remember, they didn't understand it. Those guys wasn't drafted. I mean, you're talking about guys who guys who didn't get chances. But once I succeeded, now you got Ben Gordon, who's a number 3 pick, and they know how to play him now. So you got to remember when I won Most Improved, me and Earl Boykins was on the court together. I was the point guard. He was the shooting guard. He guarded the shooting guard. You know what I mean? And we got our 5'5" guy guarding the shooting guard. You know, now you see how that works. Now you have Dame and CJ. That's AI and that's when they try to do the AI and the Lou. They're AI and Larry Hughes. You know, they was trying it, but that's why that failed because they wanted AI to be the 2, Larry to be the point to run the team. But Larry Hughes, I'm a 2. You know what I mean?
You're trying. That's the thing. You can't 2 2s together won't work.
Today it does. Then it didn't because what happens is you try to make one. You are a point guard. You know, instead of saying no, you guys are guards. Y'all figure it out. And let the guards figure it out. So that's why Ben Gordon and Kirk Hinrich can play. You know what I mean? One is the 2 guard is 6'1", and the point guard is 6'4", 6'5". And then that's when Duhan can come in, and then you have Pargo, all undersized guys. But because the stigma was gone, everyone survived.
That was where I was going to get to, was the stigma. So the ball hog stigma versus the shoot first term. Can we say that you brought that term to the
shoot
league?
first?
Shoot first point guard.
I don't know, because you're talking about a guy like Marbury who averaged 8 assists, was considered a ball hog. I averaged 5, and it was like, shoot first. So depending on if they liked you or not, you know what I mean? It seemed like that, you know, depending on, you know, if they actually liked you.
I was thinking about Marbury. Do you think he went, what you say about Steve Francis, do you think he went for the oohs and ahs passes more than the setup pass, the extra pass?
I think they played the game the way they seen it. You know, point guards back then were flashy. Baron Davis was flashy. Marbury was flashy. Steve Nash's was flashy. So it seemed like to be successful at the point guard position, they held so much responsibility on the point guard position when the point guard position actually didn't win championships. It didn't win championships. Like you being John Stockton and those guys in that position, you didn't win. You just didn't win. It showed that the shooting guard or the center and your point guard is a defender or he hits open shots, that won.
So you said what the distributor point guard would look like in the modern era. What would that be?
In this era, the pure point guard?
Yeah.
The pure point guard now is your backup. So when you say point guards win championship, history says, no, they don't.
I didn't say that, but I'm going to say it right now. We're talking about the 80s, the guy that actually would have been the modern model, Isaiah Thomas.
Yes. Yeah, he was ahead of his time, but I think when it comes to champion and it's acceptable. And it's acceptable because you got to remember, Isaiah was 6'1", Dumars 6'4". You know what I mean? So that was the first prototype of two guards that can do the same thing coexisting. What ended up happening is, because it was successful, you can't bash it. So the person who actually changed the stigma of the point guard and making it, oh, they're not ball hogs, it's Steph Curry. That's the guy that's the guard that made it acceptable to be a shoot first point guard because he won.
He was the first one to win since Isaiah as a shoot first point guard. Because Isaiah won too.
Yeah.
That took you a long time. Come on.
You're talking about shoot first, so I got to think about,
From 88 to 2014.
But shoot first can be, if you average 4 assists, you shoot first, 2 assists, 2 assists. But volume shooter, yes. You being the best player on the team, yes.
And again, that's just the way things evolved, right? Michael Jordan took the league over at that point, winning. So it wasn't like the point guard like guys like Gary Payton, John Stockton had that time in the 90s, but it was the Bulls' decade. Mm-hmm. Which is why we're in the golden era right now.
It's the
I'm just saying, we can say it right now, put it out there right now.
It's a different.
You're going to look back at it 10 years.
I'm going to look back at it. You're going to look back at it in 10 years. You're going to look back at it in 10 years and have 6'9" point guards throughout the whole league. And they're going to be saying, this is the golden era.
It's not, but that's
you're going to have a whole bunch of Ben Simmons.
But that's the funny thing is everybody looks at Ben Simmons, or you could look at Luka, 6'7". It's not just size though. You got to have the IQ. There's something special about those guys.
Okay, so the difference is you got to remember the reason I got away with it, and this is what you're not thinking about. If you have a point guard that scores 20, 30, that means you don't have a shooting guard that's doing that. So one of the guards, you got to remember, one of the guards is dominant, while the other one is docile.
Dame CJ? Russ Beal?
Yeah, that's now. That's now. They're coexisting now. So, but got to remember, before there was only one, right? There's one. So one had to sacrifice. So for me to average 29, that means my shooting guard wasn't the typical shooting guard. He was more of a defender, just like back in the day. So now those guys are figuring it out. But you got to remember, if it's two guards that's scoring, that means no one else on the team is scoring. So the two guards is basically front loading the points. And everybody else all became defenders and passers.
So while we're here, let's do this. Who is your list? Who is the best ever top 5 point guards?
Ever? Mm-hmm. That's so unfair. Top 5 ever. Mm-hmm. Ever? Magic. Mm-hmm. John Stockton. LeBron. I got to go with Chris Paul.
Makes sense.
I want to take. That's hard because kid didn't shoot. He wasn't designed to shoot. He wasn't trying to shoot, and was a defender.
2,000 more assists.
But Nash was also an amazing. Just had amazing vision, but he can score like crazy. Like if he was today and said, "Yo, you ain't really gotta do that," you couldn't stop Nash. So it's, ooh man.
Let me do this. Let me reset While you think about it,
I can't.
let's
I
set the
can't. I
table.
can't do the fifth one.
Let's hang on. I'm
I
going to
can't
help
do
you.
the fifth
I'm going to help
one.
you
I'm
out.
not even going to do the fifth
No,
one.
because I think you're forgetting a few people.
I'm not forgetting
So when
anyone.
people look at the top point guards ever, they're going to throw out, of course, Magic is always at the top of the list. Stockton, all-time assist leader, also an all-time great. Isaiah, I think definitely deserves more shine. 2 championships.
That's cool.
Ahead of his time in the position. Big O.
I don't.
You look at history, Big O.
Okay.
People say he was a freak of nature in that era.
Cool.
J Kidd. I think at the numbers that he put up.
So
for his
what did
career,
I?
I'm just throwing some names out
You
there.
should have forgot.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Steve Nash, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul, when it's all said and done, I think is better than your Nash and J Kidd. Steph will be up there. And I got one for you. Clyde Frazier.
Bro, I just told you I can't. I didn't see him, so I wouldn't know what is.
But he was the guy that when you talk about what Magic could do at his size, he could go score. When the Knicks won their 2 champions, 1970 and 1973. That was who ran the. It wasn't Willis Reed came out of the tunnel. That was all famous. But when they needed points, they went through their point guard. They went through Clyde Frazier. Ahead of his time.
I can't even. I can't even comment on it because I told you, like, if I didn't get to see it, so my.
But you know basketball, right?
If I didn't get to watch it and view it, it's hard for me. It's hard for me to say yes or no.
But you know.
So that's why I said that's why my list only starts where I can actually judge it.
But you know, a 6'5" point guard in the 70s that attacked the basket, could shoot, could handle, would still create. That was a rarity.
True, but what about all the defenders in the 70s? I mean, grocery store clerks, bus drivers. I mean, whoever just they had a chance to get on the court. So that's what I said. It's so hard to really. It's not like they were all actually athletes. so it's kind of hard. That's why I said it's kind of hard for me to judge the era. To this era. So it's like, well, I can only go this far. So my list starts where I watch the game.
You're really helping me out. Golden era is now. So
you know what? Nash and Kidd, I'm just gonna move to the side. Just move it to the side because
I think you want to put Nash over Kidd.
No, because I
think
already
you do,
because the fact that this is all time, I can't have 4 past first guys because it's all time. Evolution kicks in.
Okay.
So I already have Magic and Stockton. I don't need 2 more geeks. So I'm gonna.
You did say Nash could score though.
Yeah, but not like Curry.
Okay. You're saying Pistol Pete is the most skilled point guard ever.
How do you judge Kyrie's skill versus his skill?
Let's look at who's playing right now. That top 5 list. This is what we wanted to get to. Who's the top 5 right now, which you have 3 apparently in your all-time. Who's top 5 right now? And they're better than the all-time top 5. And I'll give you what I got for currently top 5. Okay. Steph, Dame, CP, Westbrook, and Kyrie. When it's all said and done about their careers, will they be better than that top 5 that people would say arguably is the all-time?
Because I'm going to have LeBron, CP.
Wait, are you thinking or this is your official
CP,
5? Okay.
Curry, Russ, and Dame. I mean, see, that's why I said Kyrie's tricky. See, that's what I said. So, like, Kyrie's tricky because in this moment in time, he is the most skillful offensively out of all of them. Like, I mean, no matter, Curry getting his shot off, how Westbrook can just get to the basket at will.
Gets all the numbers.
Dame range, his precision, his deadly, mindset at the end of the game. Kyrie is just a whole different breed. So it's really hard because you can't keep him out of the top 5 at all. It just like when it comes to guards, he is the guard. You know what I mean? He is the guard. But the only reason that if you do leave him off, you're only leaving him off because Chris Paul is still here and LeBron is still here, sitting on 16 years and 18 years. You know what I mean? So you got to give the respect still to those guys who put in that work and they're still here. So they're still relevant to the game.
And you're also saying that what Chris Paul has done more with less. And that's really
but
special.
that's what I'm saying. But we're not judging it like time for time. You know what I mean? We're not saying, all right, the top 5 this year. You know what I mean? We're not doing that. We're saying the top 5 current. So when you say current, you have to like LeBron's career, 18 years. You have CPs. So yeah, he might not be averaging the assists and stuff, but his stats and his game still applies to today. So it's Kyrie sitting there like, all right, can one of y'all just go so I can be number 1 or 2? You know what I mean? Because that's the problem. That's the problem with it, because you got that guy who is in the top 5, but because people are still finishing out their careers, you can't take him out of it because you said active. Active is active. So where would you rank Jason Williams?
All-time great?
No, skill.
Oh, yeah. Incredible skill. Like Pistol Pete.
Okay, so where's your rate? Pistol Pete?
Can't put him in the top 5, but all-time great.
Would you say he's the most skillful point guard that ever lived?
Ever lived?
Who's more skillful than him? Because I hear this a lot. They say Kyrie is the most skillful point guard ever. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then how about Pistol Pete?
There's that category. Pistol Pete, Rod Strickland.
No. Pistol Pete.
You're saying Pistol Pete is the most skilled point guard ever.
How do you judge Kyrie's skill versus his skill? Kyrie is dribbling and creating moves. One created passes till this day has never been duplicated. He had no reference for this creativity. He just did it. Mm-hmm. So there was nobody in front of him to copy. He just created, and it still hasn't been done. Some of the passes we've seen him do, shoulder passes, it actually hasn't been duplicated. So if you think that the game has evolved and no one's done what he's done with passing and vision, you have to say his skill level in passing. Even Magic Johnson didn't do the passes he's done. You have to say that skill was a very high skill. So how do you judge that passing and vision skill to this vision and dribbling skill?
I love what you're saying right now. You also say you didn't watch guys back before your time, so somehow you saw Pistol P. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah. I watched who I wanted to watch.
Okay.
I watched who I wanted to watch. So I'm just, that's usually my argument when you have two players that's just different, but the skill level is very, very, very high. So like you can't say he's the most skillful guard because he's skillful in this type of skill.
But I love that too. The guys that had that's crazy to think that there was nobody in front of them, and this just all came from their imagination.
Yeah, him.
Right.
But that's why it's him. That's why when someone says skill, like he is the reference to
White chocolate.
A challenging skill. No, white chocolate has Pistol Pete.
Right, but I'm saying think of what he did. We didn't really see that until White Chocolate did it, and he could throw an elbow pass.
But that was still mediocre.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a time where dribbling was not evolved to palming here. There was
no crossover.
So like if we take like all the moves now, Kyrie's moves, everything he does, and put them back in that time, 90% of what's being done is illegal. So the evolution and the changing of the rules gives this skill set. And he's maximized this skill set. He's changing the rules everywhere he goes. But you're talking about a guy that, so it's like if someone says who is the most skillful person who's the most skillful guard, it's either right now Kyrie or Pistol Pete. It's not necessarily the talent, it's the skill. Like, so Kobe was more skilled than Jordan. Evolution gives you the more skills. Skill is not necessarily talent. So, people who are watching, it's not necessarily the talent, it's the skill. Like, so Kobe was more skilled than Jordan. Evolution gives you the more skills.
But Jordan was creating those things, the fadeaway, the change of hands, stuff like that he was just reacting to. Yeah. Other guys can now duplicate it. Derrick Rose can change hands now.
So that's what I'm saying. So the evolution gives you more,
Yeah, and I think that's important when we talk about the new era, new school, is they have so much in front of them to mimic, to copycat, to pattern after. It's hard to do that, but I mean, that's really what makes them great.
Yeah. What's so funny is, like, even with anything, if you say, all right, who's the best? What's the best dunks of all time, right? Depending on who answers this question, a whole generation will be gone. It will be gone because the best dunkers creators are now, of course. You know what I mean? They're the best so, it's not necessarily that they have more hops than anybody. They just got there's more dunks that's been created for them to maximize. So if we're watching and we're going through the dunk contest all the way up until probably 2002, we'll be like, I'm good. I mean, how many times am I gonna see Dominique Wilkins do the same one-handed dunk every year? We gotta go get. He's gonna do the one-handed, two-handed.
But at the time, nobody else could do that.
I know, but what I'm saying is, if you gotta remember, we know what the dunks look like now. So if we go back and say, all right, we're gonna put these guys at dunk, everybody's gonna be looking at those 80s and 90s guys like, yeah, this isn't it. This isn't it. Like, I watched the dunk contest. It was Kenny Smith.
Oh, yeah.
He threw it up
between the legs off the backboard.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, between legs. I was like, I'm pretty sure Candace Parker could do that at this point. But back then, that was an amazing dunk.
Yeah, and also, another one, Spud Webb.
Yeah, one-handed, like, come on.
He's 5'8", so you give him respect for that.
Come on.
Nate took it on a whole level.
Jumping over people now. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, because evolution gives you the edge, so it's kind of hard to judge it for.
But respect, we appreciate you. Here we are now. And, I think what the future holds, the value of the position is all-time high. And really the good news for that is they're going to be paid well, because it's really hard. I think when you get to that level, you have 30 spots to be a point guard, starting point guard. And, that there's all the hundreds of thousands of players that are trying to come into the league. So if you can run a team and do all these things, you're going to get paid for it. And
I personally don't see the center coming back the way it was. I mean, I like just fast forwarding Just the center is exactly how the point guard used to be. It was a one-minded position.
The distributor point guard.
Yeah.
So we'll never see that again.
So we'll never see that again. And if you do see it again, it won't be the way you like it. It won't coexist because you need everybody as weapons. So I
got an example, Pat Beverly.
Beverly,
distributor and defender.
He's not even a distributor. He's just a defender. He's no different than what Derek Fisher was with those winning teams, But Derek Fisher was a spot-up shooter. But his role was this. It wasn't to be a point guard. But that's what I said. So that pure point guard and that center are the two guys that been
dinosaurs.
That been dinosaured and removed out. They, because it has evolved. Like, what's you got to remember? Every step of the way, everything is evolved. Some positions evolved backwards. If we did a top 10 on the best shooting guards, D Wade, Iverson, and Kobe, probably the only 3 who comes out in the last 20 years.
For what reason? Because you're saying the position has evolved.
Yeah, I think
basically got to be a 1/2.
I think the position went a little backwards. You know what I mean? That was the prime position. Now that the guard has evolved, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, basically everybody else would be from the 90s and the 80s.
Well, here's what that evolution is. If we can get 2 guards that are basically 2 shoot first point guards, 2 combo guards, and put those together, now you have the ultimate backcourt.
Yeah, you have the ultimate backcourt. And that's what it is now. Everyone needs to be.
Dame, you bring it up. CJ, you bring it up.
You need weapons.
You get a bucket.
Everybody needs to be a weapon, but the center has evolved to a whole different type of player because now he needs to be able to think, dribble, pass, shoot, get out on it. Like it's those days.
Still be the tallest 7-footer.
Yeah, those it's just because you got to remember those guys now are the Anthony Davises, but they're sitting at the 4, but they're sitting at the 5. They're mixing it in. I mean, Joel Embiid's trying it, but the only reason Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid is because Joel Embiid hits the mid-range. He can shoot the 3. It's not necessarily he plays back to the basket. So it's not like he plays back to the basket. He's just big and he knows how to play. They sit here, pop, 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 go and snatch back, and you like, oh, Lordy Jesus. Mm-hmm. Lordy Jesus, that looked like it hurts.
So you said what the distributor point guard would look like in the modern era. What would that be?
In this era, the pure point guard?
Yeah.
The pure point guard now is your backup point guard. If it's a starter, then you're talking about Zoe, both the Ball brothers. Rondo Steele.
Dragic?
No, Dragic? He's a fucking hooper.
I mean, he's a hooper, yeah.
He's a scorer. He ain't sitting there trying to get 20 assists.
Conley, Rubio?
Yes, he's still going back to guys who's on the back 3 of their career.
Well, but that's just what they do.
But that's the back 3. It's the back 3 of the career, which means they only have about 2 to 3 years left before they retire. So you got to go with the last, players that's in the front 5 of their career. So the future going forward, those pure point guards is Zoe and Melo. Melo survives longer because he's flashier. So he brings a whole nother look.
Can score when he needs to.
He can score when he needs to, but he is first. He's pass first. He's a pass first guy who can put the ball when he needs to, but he's a
hooper.
But I mean but when you're talking about, pass first, he is what it looks like going forward.
All right. Well, let's get on this. And before we get there, one more guy we haven't given enough praise to right now, Kemba. point guard. We went through like everybody that's modern. He's in that golden era. So, okay. Just want to keep
it's not because what's so funny. It's not because Charlotte. You forgot Kimba was there for the most part.
Yeah, Boston. But it's like you watch the
Kimba.
show and you listen to guys have a conversation and you're like, oh, you forgot this. What's the greatest movie of all time? Who's the best rapper of all time?
It's one of those things is you know when a guy set his whole career in a city that just didn't market, it wasn't on the radar. It's you kind of forget. Man, well, no, Kimba killed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's what that is. You just like you kind of forget. You kind of forget about him.
We didn't do that today. But I want to do. Bottom line, let's get on this. What the future of the position is? You've got to be a scorer. And you got to produce. Whatever that is.
Now it's be a weapon. You're a weapon, no matter what it is. I can tell you this. This is for anybody who's trying to make it to the next level or they're drafting. If you're not aggressively trying to attack, you're not needed. Meaning, no one on a court now needs you to create a shot for them because everyone's working on their skill. Everyone's working on a skill, so there's no Glenn Rice's sitting in the corner waiting for you to try to find them so they can get their three. No, that doesn't happen anymore. They're don't worry, I got this. Let me show you. Let me show you what I do. It's the Bradley Bills. Just give it to me. You know what I mean? So that's what the future point guard needs to understand. If you think you're going to come down and you're going to run offense and that high-level shooting guard is sitting over there and this high-level three-man is sitting there and you got the high-level AD sitting there and you sitting there trying to, hey, no, we go. Man, if you don't get this bum off the court, man, you come off the bench and manage the goddamn time and team. You don't do that
in the second unit.
Yeah, you don't do that in the starting five right now.
Well, you said this before. When you worked on your skills, you weren't working on your ball handling like that, where the guys, they do all the kind of the weave drill, all the handle drills, because that's part of the process for that distributor old school point guard. Because it was like I can bring the ball up from the court. You're never going to steal it from me because I can do all this stuff, but I'm all handle.
That's a myth.
Okay.
This is. The faster you are, you got to remember, think about what I'm saying. The faster you are, the less moves you need and have. Because you used your speed to get away from everybody. So if you're little, skinny, a little bit slower, you need to shift people. So you're going to work on your ball handling a lot so you can have the moves that gives you the ability to get around players. So of course Westbrook is not going to have all these moves because he's John Wall. Like even with John Wall, he's not he has handles to say he has handles. He has enough handles to say, okay, he has handles. Other than that, it's just speed. It's just speed. Same thing with Kimba. You can't really tell what kind of dribbling skills Kimba has because he don't need him. He don't need him. He's just gonna go, yank back, set back, let's shoot. Luka. Luka has you got to say he has a lot of dribbling skill. It's not as flashy as what it's supposed to look like. It's just flashy enough for him to score. I just used enough just to score. I wasn't really trying to
produce.
Be
effective.
They're making people fall now. You getting dropped now. I would not want to be a defender in today's game.
It's not about snatching ankles, though. Really.
Shit. No, it's not about snatching ankles. That's just what happens.
It's what happens, right? Right.
It's just what happened. I'm watching people hey, y'all getting dropped left. Y'all getting dropped. Like back then, it was the big man that was like kind of falling because they're coming in and change speeds. And now they sit here, bop, 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 go and snatch back, and you like, oh, Lordy Jesus. Lordy Jesus, that look like it hurts. Look at me, like, come on, like you've seen people fall and they're just like every night. Like that wasn't a thing back in the day. Like they made a video called Ankle Breakers. That was a whole season. That was a whole season worth of ankle breakers. This is
every
like
day.
You can match that in the week now.
Why is that? Because the position has evolved.
Moves
have evolved.
Moves have evolved.
We're in the golden era.
Golden era.
There it is.
But you don't have no golden era players on your team. Got it.
I did that to set you up. That's just what I do. I just set you up. I just set you up.
I changed it for, like I changed it. I changed it like to make it okay guards scoring, but Steph's stamp.
A lot of talent out there in this golden era. For the guy that, okay, one more time you could say you changed the game?
I did. I changed it. I changed it for, like I changed it. I changed it like to make it okay guards scoring, but Steph stamped it.
Okay.
For the future.
So you can just do this.
Not really, because because at the end of the day, winning really changes. You know, like they got to remember the guards, the Stephs, the Dames, they're looking at me and says, "Yo, I like that," and then they're coming. But for them to evolve it, they have to win. Steph won. Now it's an open field. It's okay. Now the Trae Young to come in and do all that. And then, from there, it just, like he opened it up for just guards, just be able to come in and play the way they play and not have to be stuck in this, I got to make the team look good. I got to make this guy who don't work on his game look a little bit better.
Evolution. Had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
All right.